right, so Shep, you're here in the Cayman Islands,
Yes.
and you came to be with us civil servants today. Tell us what the message was today.
The message is basically, it's about delivering an amazing level of service to your customers. Customers defined as, it could be a tourist coming in, it could be somebody coming in to do business with us in our country, or it could be somebody we work with, our internal customers as well.
So what do you want the takeaway to be today?
Wow. Well, the biggest takeaway is you manage the moment, that interaction that you have with the other person, because there's three different directions it can go. It could be a negative moment, which I call a moment of misery. It could be average or mediocre. I call that a moment of mediocrity. And then it could be a moment of magic. And the goal is to create a positive experience. And a moment of magic is anything that's just a little bit above average. But when you're consistent and it's predictable, then that is an amazing experience.
So most people in the room today, I thought that you were funny and you helped them to relax and to really get in touch with the message that you conveyed to them today. What would you say to those who were in the room that are frontline customer service representatives?
Right, they're on the front line every day. And there's several things. First of all, I believe that customer service is not a department, or it's not just for the front line. It's a philosophy to be embraced by everybody. But people on the front line, such as when I came into the country yesterday and I had to clear immigration and customs and all that, I was going through that process and I'm waiting in line, I get to the front and this person engages me. And they were very friendly. I said, this is island hospitality. And so they have the opportunity to make or break impressions about not just the department, but about the whole culture that we're here for. And I think that's a huge, what I would call an awesome responsibility, because this is what's going to happen. And that's an actual phrase that I like to use. I call it the awesome responsibility, where one person represents everybody. I can see if I'm here on vacation, I'm with my wife and my kids, and I come in, and the first person I encounter is that person as I'm handing my passport over, and they're friendly and they're engaging, and I get through and I go, you know what? The people in this country, they're just so friendly. And it wasn't the people, it was one person. That's the awesome opportunity and responsibility that each one of those frontliners have.
As you look at the civil service, the Cayman Islands Civil Service, and the goal of the Deputy Governor to make it a world-class civil service, focusing this year particularly on leadership and customer service, would you say that maybe there may come a time where some people, after being trained and retrained and receiving messages such as yours, that some people may not be in the right place, that they may need to be moved
it happens in
somewhere else?
every organization. And I think the idea, and depending upon how we work here, the Cayman Islands, it's, somebody has a job here, what can we do to let them keep their job? If they're in the wrong job, let's get them to a place that they belong. There are people, for example, I hate to file. If you give me a stack of files, I can probably do 2 or 3, but after I get about to that 10th one, I'm going to explode. Yet this person next to me, that may be their favorite thing in the world to do. And they would hate to get up on a stage in front of people and do what I do. So we need to find the right job for the right person, which, by the way, is a really important fit. There's an organization in the U.S., it's called Baptist Health South. They're out of Miami. They're a healthcare chain, hospitals. And Brian Keeley is their CEO. And he created this idea that he wanted everybody to come to work here. It would be destination employment, meaning we're going to hire the right people, they're going to come to work for us, and they will be here forever. Not necessarily in that job, but we will do such a good job that they won't want to go anywhere else, and they'll want to do well. And that's what I think we need to do here as well. I mean, this is, when you work with the government, maybe it is a destination opportunity. It's good. You get great benefits, you get a great pay, within reason, I guess, but you know what I'm saying. It's an opportunity, and if we do right, number one, people will want to work with us. And as a result of wanting to, if we treat them right, they'll engage better with the people they work with, as well as those outside customers.
So what would you say some of the next steps should be for the Deputy Governor in his goal?
Great question. One of the first things I would do is I would sit down and prove to everybody that was not just here in this audience, but do you know how many employees are in the organization that came in? There's several thousand, right?
Yeah.
I want to show how every single one of those people have an impact on the experience. And again, some customers, and I use that word customers broadly to define anybody that's doing business with us, visiting us for tourism, internally, the people we serve. So I want to make sure that everybody understands where they stand. So we talked a little bit about this in the speech, and I used the airline example. At the top line, we have, people, you got to make a reservation, so you have to talk to reservationists, check in at the curb, so you get your bags checked in, and at the gate, all that. So you've got all these top line touch points. Well, those are obvious, but what's happening behind the scenes? And if behind the scenes, there's different departments and different people that impact the overall experience, we've got to show them where they fit in.
How do you engage the people, the 3,000 plus people,
and some of them might not
outside
be.
of the ones that were in this room today?
Right. So I shared 10 real simple pieces of information, 10 common sense ideas that aren't unfortunately always so common. And I hope I emphasize enough here to take this back and share it with the team. It's not just for you. So that's a start. So what we need to do is we need to make everybody aware. First step is they understand what our credo is, and it's right behind me. It's making the lives better of the people that we serve, right? So we understand what that is, that mantra, that credo, that purpose. I think that's actually your purpose statement. Mm-hmm. And you have vision and mission. But when you have a one-sentence statement that you can make, and now we got to communicate it and train people to it. And training isn't something we just do it one time when you come on board, hey, don't forget this. No, it's constantly reinforced. The exercise I did where I asked everybody to write down an example of when they've created a positive experience, that shouldn't be done one time. That should be done every week, maybe, or at least once a month. Because people need to say, yeah, oh, this is when I deliver experience. I understand what that is. And by the way, I'm not just writing this down and turning it into my manager. My manager or supervisor is saying, great example. Let's talk about this. Let me tell you what, you could be doing this every day. Is it okay if I share this with the rest of the team so that everybody gets to see what's happening here? And we're creating best practices for one another and individually. And that's what that exercise does. And there's other exercises like that I shared last night at dinner with our friends, which you might see popping up down the road as well that are very similar.
So let's set up a scenario. I'm a leader. I'm a head of a department in government,
Yep.
and I may not necessarily deal with the customers, clients, patients, directly, but my staff is doing that. How important is it for the leader of the various departments to get the message right, so that what their department is doing is they're doing it right?
Leadership is where it starts. Okay, and we've already defined our purpose, so the leader now needs to make sure it's communicated, it's trained, and then that fourth step is they need to demonstrate it and be the role model. You can't say, and I joked about it before, you can't yell at people and say, you're doing a lousy job, now. Get that hair fixed. Now go out there and be nice to the customer or the patient or whomever. You can't treat people one way and treat them the other way. Expect them to treat people a different way. The thing I call the employee golden rule, it goes like this: do unto the people you work with as you would want done unto your customers. If not even better. Set the tone inside, and that's what's going to happen. I just actually today had an article come out, and I said your CX, before you can have a good CX, customer experience, everybody knows what CX is, you have to have a good EX, which is the employee experience. And I had a little cartoon, and it showed two people in a customer call center with a broken headset and a computer, and it's dingy, and the window's cracked, and the person says, I hate this place. The computer doesn't work, my headset doesn't work, and there's no air conditioning. And the woman next to him said, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if they treated us the way that they want us to treat our customers? So there you go. The leader's job is really important.
Really important. So there are some customer service champions throughout the civil service.
Yes.
What are some of the pages that we can take out of the book of those people to help us with our customer service?
So one of the ideal situations would be for people to share what they're doing that works, okay? And create, so that example I gave with that card where you write down your positive experience, if we've got 3,500 people, what would happen if 3,500 people went and wrote down this week, this is an experience that I created for either an internal or external customer, doesn't matter, that was positive. And that department manager or that leader looked at them, gave feedback, and then chose, not as a contest, but chose the most obvious best of the best examples that might be universal, and then we started to compile a best practice manual based on not the things that we as leaders think should be done, but as our people are doing, we're giving examples. There's a great organization in the US called Zappos. Perhaps you bought shoes from Zappos. And one of the things Zappos does at the end of every year, they come out with their culture book. And it's a nice thick book because they have thousands of employees. And everybody's asked a question like, what do you like about working at Zappos? Or what is your personal mission when you work at Zappos? But think about it, if we did a similar book, what's the best example of great service that you provided? And we asked everybody to come up with 3 or 4 sentences. We could write a nice thick book on this, and we can use this as a great tool of appreciation. Hey, here's your picture in your example, and guess what? As a manager, I'm going to go through here and maybe once a week I'm going to choose one example from the 3,500 that we're given and share it with the team and talk about it. What a great way to use everybody else's examples as the learning tools on how to deliver great service.
Finally, the Deputy Governor, his goal is to have a world-class civil service, and you're part of that by being here today.
Honored to be there too.
Yes.
Thanks.
So what would you say to the Deputy Governor after today's presentation to some of his leaders and customer service champions? What would you say to him?
Well, the first thing I would say is, Shep, you need to come back, like over and over again, like at least once a month, and stay for a week at a time. So, what would I say? I think baby steps. Let's set a plan together. Recognize we've got to do more training. And we've got a great start here, but there's thousands of our colleagues that weren't in this room. So let's teach these people how to share the message. And one of the most important thing, and I know there's leaders in here who don't interact as much as they perhaps could, we need to teach some coaching skills so that they can coach to good service and coach to good behaviors, coach to really a lot of different things even beyond customer service. But a coaching skill for these leaders would be an excellent place to start. And the other thing is important is consistency. So if we're going to put a message out there, let's make sure that this half of the room is given the same message as that half, that this individual in this department is the same message. Ideally, we want everybody using the same language, terminology, and be in alignment as they move forward.
Shep, it's been great.
It's been awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. No problem.
Thank you.
No problem.